Well, anyone who's into their media at all will have heard of Nemeton, and students of the Higher Diploma in TV Production have showcased their work in a great way. There was basically like a cinema premiere at SGC Cinema in Dungarvan for family, friends and locals, where the students, like I said, showcased the movies that they made. I am really excited to say that I am joined in studio by course director Moira Sweeney and also by one of the students, John Foley. Guys, how are you?
Hello, Mary.
Hello, Mary. How are you? Moira, we're going to start with yourself. It is a great thing that's happening in Nemeton. It's very well known. Big careers come out of this. It must be a joy for you to work on the Higher Diploma in TV Production.
It is indeed, Mary. I love it. I'm a filmmaker myself. I'm a television producer and director myself. And out of that evolved this opportunity to actually pass on those skills. And so with a team who are all active in the industry, we pass on our skills to people who want to work in the industry. And it's a wonderful course. It's only a year, really only 7 months, really, if you think about the academic year. And Waterford Institute of Technology are they're the holders of it. We run it in Nemeton for them, and Udros na Gael to sponsor it. So it's a wonderful three-way.
In case people aren't aware of your location, it is important to point out you are in the heart of the Gaeltacht in An Rinn.
We're absolutely in the heart of the Gaeltacht in An Rinn, and the course is run through, it's bilingual really, it's run through Irish, but we have to do aspects of it in English. We do the law in English, for instance, and some of the editing is done through English because the terms are just so complex, it's much easier. But we run it through Irish, so we have people, for instance, like John, who's here with us now. John, when he came to me a year ago, John was really out of practice. He wouldn't have spoken Irish since he was at school.
Like a lot of us.
A lot of people. Yeah. And he went off to the Gaeltacht in the summer and he availed of the Irish language courses we put on. And now he's pretty fluent in Irish and he did an excellent documentary, mixture of Irish and English through the documentary. So there's this opportunity. You can be, a Gaeilgeoir, you can be Líofa, you can be fluent and come on the course, but you can also come where you're just needing to kind of brush it up, and we'll help and support you do that. Because you get a good mix of people come on the course from all over the country. You get a mix of people, like at the moment we've got Amy McGuinness, for instance. She already had a visual arts degree in Waterford Institute of Technology, and she knew how to work with film. She has a great imagination. So she was able to come in and use those skills and then at the same time brush up on her Irish. And then we have people who come who've got fluent Irish, like Helena Keane, who came down from County Meath, no experience whatsoever in media, and so she's able to develop that side of her skill base, and then obviously her Irish helps her in that. So you've got this great broad base of people.
John, I'm going to switch across to you. What made you decide to do this Higher Diploma in TV Production?
I had a long-standing interest, I suppose, in photography and some video, and particularly interest in storytelling. And it was just, I'd been looking at this course for a number of years, and I suppose just this last year it was just the opportunity for me to actually dedicate the time to do it full-time for the year.
And that's a big thing, isn't it, for people? You need to find a time in your life where you can kind of clear the decks and go full-time. And life gets in the way for a lot of people, so it can take many years for everything to align.
Yeah, so it was just a combination of things there. I was able to drop some work, keep a bit of work going as well. And Moira and Nemeton were very flexible with both myself and a number of others in the course who had to keep a bit of income coming as well, and working a day or two and maybe a night or so on weekends, and keep the whole thing together.
And are you working at the moment in kind of photography and media?
Yeah, so I've been working, I suppose, as a part-time photographer last 10 years, I suppose, in mostly, say, business photography, promoting small businesses, that kind of thing, and had also been doing some work in promoting businesses through short films and video. So I suppose just following the course, I've actually had a few small projects coming in the last week that have been long fingering until the course is out of the way. So things are quite hectic at the moment, and a few interesting jobs on the go.
And I've watched Díoltas, which is your film which was showcased at SGC Dungarvan. So obviously, I mean, it must have been nice in a way and very daunting in other ways to kind of go outside of the corporate business world and into the creative world where you're involved in storytelling and reenacting and that kind of thing. Was that very different for you?
Yeah, absolutely, and I suppose it's almost where I want to go, and just talking to Moira before I come in, it's something I want to do more of in terms of maybe some more historical documentaries. The actual whole process was really good. Enjoyed the research and meeting so many interesting people. And at the beginning, I would never have thought I would have had over 20 people involved in a project, and that I would have a 20-minute film at the end of it.
Before we get to talking about your film, I'm going to ask you to give a little synopsis of it. What did you get from the course in general from day one? What were some of the things maybe that surprised you, or some of the things you particularly enjoyed?
I think the big thing for me was that I was actually quite ambitious in what I wanted to do, and both Moira and the whole team in Nemeton sort of matched that. So when I said I'm going to have 10 people out in the Nile Valley doing a big shoot for a whole day. So I was
they were able to
facilitate that, and I had a production manager along for the day, just to kind of keep an eye on how we were doing things. But actual skills I would have learned, I could edit before that to an extent, but I think the whole thing of storytelling and integrating both the directing, the producing and the editing together to create some content that's really quite good. That was the big thing for me, that kind of broadening my skills.
Did you enjoy working with your classmates and your colleagues? Did you make good friends from doing the course? Yeah,
I guess I was the more mature student in the group, but there were really a great group of students, and great fun, and lots of joking and slagging going on in the class. And particularly one of the guys, Andy O'Leary, had some experience previously as cameraman, and he worked with me on Dialtus. So it was great having somebody who had so much experience already on the camera, and I could just kind of literally stand back and direct what was happening. And equally, a lot of the others were very supportive as well.
Moira mentioned your Irish wouldn't have been, up to totally fluent standard, but obviously being immersed in An Rinn and immersed in the Gaeltacht, you very much pick it up quickly again, don't you?
Yeah, I suppose Irish language wouldn't have been the easiest for me at school, so it was something I always wanted to do. So the bonus for me this year, I suppose, really was that after the year, while I'm not quite fluent, I would say I have a lot more Irish than I did at the beginning of the year, and it's something I plan to continue to do, to actually to continue learning Irish over the coming years. Now,
Dialtus, your movie is bilingual. We're going to play a little clip that's just the English language speaking part. It's a documentary about a man who, I suppose had a various amount of incidents happen to him around the time of the War of Independence.
Yeah, it's set on a kind of not a well-known story about a RIC inspector, Gilbert Potter, who was captured by the IRA outside Cahir, and he was taken across the mountains over 6 days, and the IRA hoped to exchange him for Thomas Traynor, who was an IRA prisoner scheduled to be executed in Mountjoy at the same time. And it traces that journey from Cloheen, across the foothills of the Knockmill Downs into the Nile Valley, and across the Cumra Mountains, and finishing up down near Clonea Power. You were blessed with the scenery you were able to use for this. Yeah, well, I suppose that was the other thing maybe I learned during the course on my previous experience in photography. I had a vision in my head of some of the background scenery that I wanted, and I had patience. Some of the closing scenes, it actually took 4 weeks to get a suitable weather with the sort of ominous clouds scudding across the Cumra Mountains for the final day of the film. And we never think of stuff like that when we're watching it, do we? Here's a little clip of it.
Where you come from? Who are you?
I'm coming from Cloheen. I'm a doctor. I went to see a patient.
Under some accounts, it would seem that some of the units of the IRA recognised Potter as District Inspector, while other more common accounts states they noticed that there was a handgun in the back of the car. And once they saw this, they realised that he was either a member of the military or the police, and then they took him prisoner.
Keep your hands on the wheel. Get out of the car.
So I suppose there we can see the tension, we can see the storytelling intertwined with reenacting, and I'm going to ask you where people can see this online, just so you can let other people know as well, but Moira will tell me all that. But well done, and you're delighted you did the course, John, onwards and upwards for you. Really delighted with the course, and I look forward to some interesting projects in the near future. Excellent stuff. Moira, we just heard a clip there from Dialtus. You're probably very familiar with all the work of the students. First of all, where can people actually see the work now that it's been showcased?
Okay, so once we have the showcase, the next stage is that we send it to TG Cahir. We send the film to TG Cahir every year, and TG Cahir broadcast a selection of the films out on a series that's called Kid Chance, which is First Chance, and which is a wonderful opportunity for the students. Like last year, it went out across the autumn every Friday night at 7:30, which is a fantastic primetime slot, really. And we're going to do exactly the same this year. So either all of the films or a good selection of them will get shown on TG Cahir this autumn, we hope. The other thing is that TG Cahir do this great online social media platform at the moment, called two of them, one called Block, and that's for kind of a younger audience, shorter films, and another one's called Mullscale, which is longer, more traditional, locally based stories. So a lot of our programmes, because the students make all of these programmes in the second term, but they also made short programmes in the first term, short little videos and films in the first term. We send them to all of these, opportunities, these places where there are opportunities to screen, to broadcast online or on air itself, and that'll get them out again, bigger audiences. But then also we submit them to the key festivals. The students themselves, like, we encourage them to send them out to the key festivals, the local ones like Waterford and Cork, then also Fingal, Kerry Film Festival, Dingle Film Festival. These festivals take short films from newcomers and more experienced people as well. So in this first year, or maybe first 6 months, there are all sorts of opportunities like that. And to be honest, TG Cahir, once we agree to the broadcast with TG Cahir, part of the contract there usually is that they can show it on any platform they want. Not up until that point, but so they, everybody
it's free
can,
reign after that.
After that, once they get, the audience drawn into their kind of main transmission platform, and also their player. They show it on the player afterwards. But then it's free reign, so students can do what they want. Yeah, but there's a little bit of don't give everything away yet until we know about the transmission dates.
Yeah, exactly. We'll watch this space, I suppose, and you'll keep in touch with us over the summer and let us know when you have the dates. You had a great night at Dungarvan SGC as well with the screening, and family and friends turned up. That must have been great crack.
Really exciting, and as John and I were just saying earlier as well, it is like a graduation.
Yeah,
that day is the kind of the big day, and it's exciting for the students who've worked very, very hard for 3 or 4 months. Well, really, they've worked all year because pre-Christmas they develop this idea. They get a lot of support, industry support, to develop their idea, and then they go out and they make their idea, and they get a lot of support in that and everything. So you're holding on to something you're passionate about for quite a few months of your life, and you get there with everybody that you love and all of the people who've been in the film. They're in one place showing it all, so it's always exciting. There's no way around that. And I know that sometimes it's a little bit anticlimactic afterwards if you haven't got anything to go straight into, because you've been moving towards something. But that's life, that's business, that's the business of TV.
It's the highs and lows of these kind of exciting projects, isn't it? We're almost out of time. Are you recruiting new intakes for next year's course, Moira?
We are, of course. We've already got a good batch of people. Some of them actually came to the screening. Lined up to come in, and there are a few more now always come in over the summer. So we start in September. We start, I can't remember the exact date, it's around about the third week of September, and we run through till May. So if anybody is interested, they can contact us at trainoil@nemeton.ie. That's TRAENAIL @nemeton.ie, or just look us up online, Nemeton TV training. You'll find us. All the information is there.
Brilliant. It's a great place in Waterford and in County Waterford and in the Gaeltacht, which I always feel doesn't get the attention it deserves, because we have a beautiful Gaeltacht right here in the region, which is great. So listen, Moira Sweeney and John Foley, delighted to talk to you both. Thanks a million.
Thanks you very much, Mary. Wonderful to talk to you.